When a woman realizes you're no longer interested, the very first thing that happens is her curiosity spikes. You see, most guys don't understand this dynamic. They think the more they chase, the more attention they give, the more consistent they are in trying to prove their value, the more a woman will feel something for them. But what they don't realize is that desire doesn't work that way. Women don't fall in love through logic, they fall in love through emotion, through how they feel around you, and feelings of desire are sparked not by overavailability, but by contrast. When you're always there, always texting, always available, always checking in, you're predictable. She knows exactly what you're going to do next, and while that feels safe for a moment, it's not exciting. Excitement comes from uncertainty. Excitement comes when she has to wonder, where is he? What's he doing? Why hasn't he called me yet? That little gap, that little distance, that little pullback makes her start thinking about you more than she did before. Now, here's the important part. When you genuinely lose interest, whether it's because her behavior turned you off, because she didn't reciprocate your effort, or simply because your life and purpose became more important, you stop giving her the same level of attention. It's not an act, it's not a game, it's not manipulation, it's just a natural response. You're no longer hanging on her every word, you're not rearranging your life to fit into hers, and she feels that change immediately. And what does that do? It creates curiosity. She notices the difference. She might not admit it out loud, but internally she starts to think, why isn't he calling me like he used to? Why doesn't he seem as available anymore? What happened? That curiosity becomes the seed of attraction. Suddenly she's paying closer attention to you, even if she was previously distant. This is where a lot of men screw up. They get scared when they notice a woman pulling away, and they overcompensate with even more pursuit. They try harder, they chase, they buy gifts, they send long emotional messages, thinking they can logic or guilt her into wanting them back. But all that does is push her further away because it communicates neediness. It communicates that you're trying to hold on to something that doesn't want to be held. On the other hand, when you simply move on with your life, when you stop being so invested in her response, that's when she notices something different. You're no longer orbiting around her world, you've got your own. And whether she admits it or not, that shift is magnetic because women are drawn to men who are centered, men who aren't rattled when someone pulls away, men who stay grounded in who they are, regardless of external circumstances. Now, does that mean she'll immediately come chasing back the moment she feels this curiosity? Not always. Sometimes she might just observe for a while. She might start watching your stories on social media a little more. She might send a casual text just to see how you respond. Or she might even pretend like she doesn't notice at all while secretly checking if you're still around. But the reality is, once that curiosity kicks in, you're on her mind more than before. And this is why detachment is so powerful. Not pretending to be detached, because women can smell fake indifference from a mile away, but actually being okay with the idea of moving forward without her. When your interest fades and you're truly fine with that, you radiate a calm confidence. You're not chasing validation, you're not looking for her to fill some void in your life. You're simply moving toward your purpose, your goals, your mission, and if she wants to come along for the ride, great. If not, you're fine either way. That kind of energy is intoxicating. It's the same reason people are drawn to leaders, to individuals who don't need approval to keep moving forward. And when a woman senses that about you, she feels the difference deep down. It shifts the power dynamic. She no longer feels like she can take your attention for granted because it's not guaranteed anymore. And when something's not guaranteed, it becomes more valuable. Think about it this way: if something is always available, always right in front of you, you stop valuing it as much. But if suddenly that thing isn't as available, you start paying more attention to it. That's human nature, not just dating dynamics. And it's exactly why her curiosity spikes when she realizes you're no longer interested. She'll start looking for clues. She'll replay past conversations in her mind, trying to figure out what changed. She'll notice you're less eager to respond, less eager to initiate, less quick to jump at every opportunity to see her. And in her mind, that gap between what she used to expect from you and what she's getting now makes her want to close the distance. That's when she starts thinking about you in moments she didn't before. That's when she starts questioning her own feelings. The key here is you're not doing any of this as a strategy. You're not faking disinterest to get a reaction. Because if you're faking it, you're still emotionally tied to the outcome. And when you're tied to the outcome, she can feel that energy. Women are incredibly intuitive about these things. They can sense when you're putting on an act, but when your disinterest is genuine, when you're truly content without her, that's when the shift is undeniable. And here's the beautiful part, no matter how she reacts to that shift, you win. If she feels that curiosity and leans back in, reaching out, investing more, then great, you've naturally restored balance to the dynamic. If she doesn't, if she pulls away further or disappears altogether, then you've filtered out someone who wasn't really that interested in you in the first place. Either way, you remain grounded, centered, and moving forward. So understand this. Curiosity is the first domino to fall. The moment she realizes you're no longer locked in on her, the moment she feels that absence of pressure, she has to reevaluate. And in that space of curiosity, you reclaim your position as the man who is the chooser, not the chaser. And that's the power of truly not being interested anymore. When a woman realizes you're no longer interested, her curiosity spikes, but that curiosity alone isn't the end of the story. What usually follows is her testing your resolve. This is one of the most important dynamics to understand because a lot of guys get thrown off here. They misinterpret a woman's tests as rejection, as hostility, or as some kind of game. But in reality, tests are simply a way for her to measure how strong you really are in your position. See, when you pull back, when you're no longer chasing, when your energy shifts from always being available to being focused on your own life, she notices the change. But part of her doesn't fully believe it yet. She wants to know if you really mean it or if this is just a temporary reaction. And the only way for her to figure that out is to test you. Now, what do these tests look like? Sometimes they're obvious, sometimes they're subtle. She might text you out of the blue with something that feels casual just to see if you respond immediately. She might bring up another guy in conversation to see if you get jealous. She might cancel plans at the last minute to see if you'll chase her or beg her to reschedule. Or she might even go quiet for a few days just to measure your reaction. Every one of these behaviors is a test. And at the core of every test is one question. Are you really as centered and confident as you appear to be, or are you just putting on an act? She wants to know if your new detachment is genuine or if it's just a surface level attempt to get a reaction from her. Here's where most men fail. They see these tests and instead of holding their ground, they react emotionally. A guy gets a delayed text response and he instantly doubles down, blowing up her phone to prove he's still there. Or he hears about another guy and tries to compete, showing insecurity. Or she flakes on him, and instead of calmly moving on, he lashes out with anger or desperation. And just like that, everything he had gained by pulling back is erased. She sees through the mask, realizes he's still dependent on her validation, and her respect for him drops even further. But the men who pass these tests don't even look at them as games. They recognize them for what they are: opportunities to show strength, opportunities to show that they are unshakable, opportunities to demonstrate that their happiness, their mood, their sense of self-worth is not determined by whether a woman is giving them attention in that moment or not. Passing these tests isn't about rehearsing lines or memorizing tactics. It's about truly being in a place where you are fine regardless of her response. That's why when she texts you casually after pulling away, you don't need to jump right on it or overanalyze it. You respond when it fits into your life, just like you would with anyone else. When she brings up another guy, you don't get defensive or jealous because deep down you know you're the prize. When she cancels plans, you don't argue or beg. You simply say, "No problem, let me know when you're free," and you move on with your evening. That's strength. That's emotional self-control. That's the kind of behavior that communicates, "I'm not here waiting on you. I've got options. I've got purpose. I've got things going on in my life. You're welcome to be part of it, but you don't control it." And here's the thing, women don't test you because they want to control you. They test you because they want to feel safe in your strength. They want to know you're a man who doesn't crumble under pressure. They want to feel like if life throws challenges your way, you'll handle them with calmness instead of panic. They want to know that when emotions get intense, you won't lose your cool and start acting erratically. These tests are less about you personally and more about the natural instinct women have to measure the strength of a man's character. This is why the men who fail these tests often find themselves stuck in cycles of hot and cold. They think, why is she pulling away when I'm doing everything for her? Why does she come close and then back off? It's because she doesn't feel that stability from him. She doesn't feel that certainty. And if a woman doesn't feel certain in your strength, she can't relax into her feminine. She can't feel safe to let down her guard around you. But when you consistently pass these tests, not by trying, not by playing some strategy, but simply by being the man who isn't thrown off, you create that certainty. She starts to see that your detachment isn't fake, it's real, that your confidence isn't conditional, it's natural. And that's when her respect for you starts to build again. That's when the dynamic shifts back in your favor. Think about it. Every time she tests and you stand firm, you reinforce the message that you're not going to compromise your self respect for her approval. That's attractive, that's magnetic, that's rare. Because most guys crumble, most guys can't handle the pressure. And the fact that you don't break under her tests puts you in a category above the rest. Passing these tests is not about arrogance or pretending you don't care. It's about living in a way where you genuinely don't need anyone else to complete you. It's about being a man on his mission, focused, grounded, centered, and unbothered. It's about understanding that a woman's interest is something to be welcomed but never chased, something to be appreciated but never clung to, something to be enjoyed but never needed for survival. And here's the truth: once she realizes you can't be shaken by her tests, her attraction deepens. She may not even consciously realize why, but she starts to lean in more. She feels more secure. She feels more drawn to you. And ironically, the very tests that used to push weaker men away now become the fuel that strengthens the connection with you. So when you feel those tests coming, when you sense she's pulling little moves to check your strength, don't get upset, don't get defensive, and don't get reactive. See it for what it is. Smile to yourself, because every test is really an opportunity. Every test is her saying, "Show me who you really are." And the men who understand this never flinch because they know the truth. Strength doesn't need to be proven, strength just is. And that's why when she tests you, the right response isn't to fight it, or to complain about it, or to get frustrated by it. The right response is to hold your ground, stay centered, and let your actions consistently show that your life, your happiness, and your self respect are never up for negotiation. And that's exactly how you pass every test without even trying. When a woman realizes you're no longer interested, and after her curiosity and her tests, something powerful starts to happen. The dynamic between the two of you shifts because she begins to see you differently. That need to control, that subtle sense of power she once felt by knowing you were always available, always chasing, always waiting, starts to fade away. And in its place, something much more valuable begins to grow: respect. Respect is everything in attraction. Without respect, desire can't sustain itself. Without respect, a woman might like you, she might enjoy your company, she might even spend time with you, but she'll never truly admire you, never truly surrender to the connection, never truly invest herself the way she does when she looks at a man and feels, "This is someone I can look up to." See, in the beginning, when you were giving her all your attention, when you were making her the center of your world, she might have appreciated it on the surface, but underneath it created a sense of imbalance. She knew that no matter what she did, you'd still be there. She knew she didn't have to give much back because you were already sold. And whether she realized it or not, that lack of tension lowered her respect for you. Because respect is born when someone earns it, not when it's handed out freely. But when you stop giving your attention away so easily, when you focus back on your life, when you show through your actions that you're not afraid to walk away if you're not being valued, she sees you differently. You're no longer the man who can be controlled by a smile, a text, or a little bit of affection. You're the man who lives by his own standards. And that shift, that refusal to compromise your self-worth, creates respect. Think about it. People respect boundaries. They might push against them, they might test them, but deep down, they admire someone who holds the line. And women especially respect men who don't fold under pressure, men who don't abandon their principles just to win approval. When she realizes that you're not easily swayed, that you won't bend over backwards just for scraps of attention, she starts to admire you. That admiration is what creates respect. And respect, once established, changes the entire dynamic. This is why so many men struggle in relationships. They think that the way to keep a woman happy is to give her everything she wants, to say yes to everything, to put her on a pedestal. But what they don't realize is that without respect, love doesn't last. A woman might stick around, but she won't look at that man the same way. She won't feel that fire, that admiration, that sense of, "I've got a man I can truly trust to lead." Respect isn't about domination or control, it's about strength. It's about showing that you have a backbone, that you stand for something, and that you won't sell yourself short. And here's where it gets interesting. When a woman feels that respect growing, she naturally starts to relax around you. She stops trying to control the dynamic because she no longer needs to. She doesn't feel like she has to test you endlessly because she already knows who you are. She already knows you're not the type to be pushed around. That security allows her to soften, to lean into her feminine energy, to let go of control and flow with you. That's when attraction deepens because respect and attraction go hand in hand. A woman can't be deeply attracted to a man she doesn't respect. She might enjoy attention from him, she might use him for validation, but she won't truly desire him. But when she respects you, when she looks at you as a man of strength and integrity, her attraction naturally grows stronger. Respect also changes the way she communicates with you. Instead of being dismissive or careless with her words, she pays more attention. Instead of playing games, she starts to become more genuine. Instead of holding back, she invests more. Because in her mind, she knows that if she doesn't respect you, you won't stick around. And that reality forces her to bring her best self forward. But here's the key: respect can't be forced. You can't demand it, you can't lecture her into giving it to you, and you can't fake the behaviors that lead to it. Respect comes naturally when you live authentically, when you enforce your boundaries calmly and consistently, when you carry yourself in a way that says, I know my value and I'm not afraid to lose you if you don't see it. It's not about being cold or dismissive. It's not about being arrogant or acting like you don't care. It's about caring in a healthy way, caring enough to invest when someone invests in you, but also caring enough about yourself to walk away when you're not being valued. That balance is what creates respect. And the beauty of this is once respect is there, the dynamic feels effortless. You don't need to chase. You don't need to constantly prove yourself. You don't need to argue or beg for her attention. She willingly gives it because she respects who you are. She knows your attention has value and she doesn't want to lose it. So when you notice that respect starting to build, when you feel her treating you differently, when you see her stepping up her effort, don't overanalyze it. Just recognize that this is the natural outcome of you shifting your focus back to yourself. This is what happens when you stop living for her approval and start living for your purpose. The respect she feels is the byproduct of you living as a man who values himself. And here's the truth. Respect is the foundation of any healthy relationship. Without it, there's no stability. Without it, there's no trust. Without it, there's no lasting attraction. But with it, everything flows. She feels secure, you feel appreciated, and the connection has room to grow. And that's why respect will always replace control when you stop chasing and start living from a place of strength. Attraction is a funny thing. It's not logical, it's not something you can control, and it's not something you can negotiate. It's either there or it isn't. And when a woman realizes you're no longer interested after she goes through that wave of curiosity and after she tests your resolve, and once she starts respecting you more for standing your ground, there's really only one of two outcomes left. Either her attraction reignites stronger than before, or she slowly fades out of your life. And the truth is, both outcomes are a win. When a woman is genuinely into you, when she sees that you've pulled back your attention and you're no longer chasing her, that contrast makes her feel something she wasn't feeling before. She starts to miss the energy you used to give her. She starts to realize she may have been taking you for granted. She starts remembering the times when you made her feel alive, when you made her laugh, when she felt that spark with you. But now, instead of her being confident that you'll always be around, she has to sit with the possibility that maybe she's losing you. And that thought alone can reignite attraction in a powerful way. What happens is she begins to lean back in. It might start subtly. She'll send a text here and there. She'll show up where she knows you'll be. She'll compliment you on something small. She might even try to reopen doors she closed before. And if you pay close attention, you'll notice her effort increasing. She's not just reacting to your moves anymore, she's actively investing again. And that's when the power of your detachment becomes crystal clear. By refusing to chase, by refusing to over-pursue, you created the space for her attraction to grow again on its own. But here's the part that most men overlook. Sometimes, instead of her attraction reigniting, she doesn't lean back in. Sometimes she pulls away completely. Maybe she was never truly interested in the first place. Maybe she was using your attention to fill a void. Maybe she was just curious about what she could get from you without ever giving much in return. And when she feels that you're no longer hooked, when she senses that she can't control you with minimal effort, she loses interest and drifts away. And as much as that might sting in the moment, that's not a loss. That's clarity. That's life filtering out someone who was never going to truly choose you. See, the outcome doesn't actually matter. Whether her attraction reignites or she walks away, both paths put you in a better position. If she comes back with more respect, more effort, and more genuine desire, then you've got a shot at building something real with her, something that's balanced, something that flows naturally, something where you're both investing equally. If she disappears, then you've just freed yourself from wasting time on someone who wasn't right for you. Either way, you win because you're standing firm in your value. Now, let's talk about what happens when her attraction does reignite, because this is where a lot of guys get tested all over again. A woman who's leaning back in, who's suddenly more affectionate, who's putting more effort into the connection, she's doing that because she respects you now. But the moment she senses you slipping back into old patterns, chasing too hard, over-investing, losing yourself in her again, her attraction will start to drop all over. This is why consistency is so important. You don't want to fall back into being the man who needed her validation. You want to remain the man who values her presence but doesn't depend on it. That balance is what keeps attraction alive long term. Too many guys treat that initial resurgence of interest as a green light to go all in again. They smother her with attention. They start prioritizing her above everything else. And before long, she feels the imbalance return. And just like before, she starts pulling away. The cycle repeats until the relationship eventually falls apart. The men who break that cycle are the ones who hold steady, the ones who remember that their purpose, their goals, their self-respect come first. When she sees that consistency, her attraction doesn't just reignite, it deepens. And then there's the other side of this outcome, the one where she walks away. A lot of guys take this personally as if it's a reflection of their worth. But it's not. It's simply clarity. Not every woman you meet is going to be right for you. Not every woman you feel chemistry with is going to feel the same way about you long term. And that's okay. What matters is that you don't waste your energy on someone who doesn't genuinely choose you. Because the truth is, love can't be forced, desire can't be manufactured, it either flows naturally or it doesn't. And the moment you see that it doesn't, the healthiest thing you can do is let go and keep moving forward. What's interesting is that even when she walks away, you're still stronger than you were before. Because every time you refuse to chase, every time you refuse to compromise your standards, every time you allow someone to reveal their true level of interest, you grow. You reinforce the message to yourself that you're not going to settle, and that self-respect attracts better situations into your life down the line. It's not just about this one woman, it's about the pattern you're creating for every relationship moving forward. So when you're in this stage, when her curiosity has already shifted into either renewed effort or withdrawal, your job isn't to control the outcome. Your job is to stay centered, to observe, and to respond based on what she shows you. If she invests, you reciprocate. If she pulls away, you let her go. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't try to convince. You simply let reality reveal itself. And that's when you realize the truth. A woman who genuinely desires you will always make it clear. And a woman who doesn't will always give you excuses. It's your job to recognize the difference, to stop trying to change someone's mind, and to only invest in the ones who are genuinely choosing you. That's how you create relationships built on respect, attraction, and mutual desire. That's how you keep from wasting your time. That's how you make sure that when love does come into your life, it's real, it's natural, and it's worth building on. And that's why when her attraction either reignites or fades away, you win no matter what.